Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Animal Radio Active. I am your host, Philly Stallone. We're back, baby. Kinda, sorta. I know there hasn't been an episode in months, and there's really good reasons as to why. Some of the reasons are personal. The reasons that I can share with you guys is because I have decided to walk away from street activism. And I walked away from street activism because, number one, the lack of support from the community. I'm just going to be straight up real with you guys. I lost the love for being out there on the street. And so I just wanted to find a way that I could be more effective. So I started going through internal changes as to figuring out my journey in animal rights. You know what I'm saying? So now I want to focus more on the underprivileged neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying, where there's Black and Latinos living in, that some of you don't give a fuck to cross the river and do the right thing for. I didn't feel like the support was reciprocated, you know what I'm saying? So that's one reason. It's not the main reason, but that's a significant reason. Another reason is because I noticed my relationship with my son was deteriorating, you know what I'm saying? We weren't really communicating. He's 15 now, and we used to be like the best of friends. And I was so involved with activism, with street activism, that there was a period of time where I missed every single Saturday for over a year. Every Saturday I was out doing activism, and sometimes even on Sundays. So like I missed every weekend for over a year, and I think that's what drew us apart. Like I wasn't there, we weren't hanging out, we weren't communicating. I wanted to rebuild my relationship with my son, so that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing street activism. And I just want to say that now, me and my boy's relationship, we're like this, you know what I'm saying? I love him, so I would never want to do something that is going to jeopardize the connection that me and him have. But it's not just him, but the rest of my kids too. I kind of wanted to be there more for them, and they deserve that, you know what I'm saying? That's one of the more personal reasons. And plus a lot of nonsense, you know what I'm saying, in the AR community that I just care not to deal with anymore. And but I'm happy, and I didn't leave the community, even though I don't consider this community to be my community, because like I said, the love and the support was never really reciprocated. There are some activists though that I want to give a special shout out. These people that I'm about to mention are beautiful inside and out. They are very supportive, and these are the people I miss. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Linda Mann. Shout out to Carol Marcus. Rochelle, shout out to you. You guys are always there. You guys are always showing all the support you can possibly show. And that's so greatly appreciated. I didn't walk away from animal rights or speaking up for animals. I'm more active now on social media. Please go follow Two Crazy Vegans on Instagram. It's been an eventful last few months, you know what I'm saying? I did an interview with Izzy Jacobus, which you guys are going to see here in a few minutes. Shout out to him. And also I want to send him an apology, because this interview I was supposed to release months ago, but because of my internal revolution and the changes I'm going through, it just never came out, you know what I'm saying? But it's coming out now. In the future, Animal Radio Active will continue, but the direction of the show is going to change a bit. I could tell you how, but I could show you better than I could tell you. So just stay tuned in the upcoming months to see what's going to happen with the show and all that. You know what I'm saying? I promise you this, though. I won't disappoint you. It'll be entertaining. It'll be informative. And it'll be real and raw. You know what I'm saying? Like it always has been. You know what I'm saying? So please stay tuned. If you don't follow Animal Radio Active on social media, go do so, please. You know, it doesn't cost you nothing to follow. And yeah, man, so that's how we're going to keep it moving. I want to give a special shout out to the organizer of Brooklyn, Queens Animal Save. Yes, because Peta just gave him an award. Caterina Trabazo, congratulations on your award for an outstanding job of what you've been doing with the vigils and rescuing animals. Bravo. I heard that Leonardo got an award from Peta, so shout out to him also. He was coming to the aquarium at Coney Island when Brooklyn Queens Animal Save was organizing the demos there. It's important to support each other. Don't be one of these organizers that only supports yourself. There's no community in that, you know what I'm saying? It's just about you. There ain't no future in that. Without further ado, let's get into the interview with my man Izzy. Hey guys, how you doing? I'm here with none other than Mr. Izzy Jacobus.
Sup.
Izzy is responsible for the Veganist Guide, one of the founding members of Vegans of New York, V.O.N.Y. Izzy is also the founder of Animals First on the Second, AFOTS. Welcome him. We're gonna talk about a few things, Let's take it back to my beginning with you. That was through V.O.N.Y, Vegans in New York. One day I saw V.O.N.Y posted an event for some activism, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go. And it just so happens that my first protest ever was organized by this gentleman right here. It was at a pet store, and the owner had been caught doing illegal cockfights and illegal dog fights.
Yeah, that was me, you, and Michael Whitley, who actually was the impetus for the idea. We printed up some flyers and went and posted them all around there. That's the first day you met Crank.
I gave him a leaflet. That was how our paths crossed.
And he was on the way to a protest too, of course. One of the more dedicated, prolific activists in New York City.
Yeah, it's definitely a pioneer in the movement here in New York. How did V.O.N.Y begin?
So about 2 months after I first went vegan, we started it sort of haphazardly. It was always Mark's idea. Mark decided that he wanted to create some sort of social group.
Mark
Wood
was one of the other
Right, so the three founders are me, Mark Wood, and Joe Carnegie. And so Mark had decided that he wanted to create some sort of group of people that, of vegans that might do some stuff together. And I was super into the Facebook groups at that point. I was searching around and joining all the big ones, and I was like, I'm pretty familiar with the best way to operate these groups, I think, so let's start a group. And they were into it, thinking that we might just put together a few vegans and be able to communicate that way, not realizing that, it was going to turn out to be the main aspect of the group with thousands of members.
I think the group is very effective and necessary, and it's helped a lot of the vegans in New York to interact with each other, and now they're either friends or they're either activists fighting for animals together. So the group has done a lot. Are you still with V.O.N.Y?
I am not. I left working with the group a year and a half ago now, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was necessary. I was not getting along with Jill. We were having personality clashes. She kind of made the ultimatum of I can't work with you anymore type thing. And so I decided to leave the group and hopefully allow them to go forward with a lot of the different things rather than the standard cliche in the vegan community of like butting heads and fighting and tearing a valuable group apart because we don't get along and we're refusing to give it up.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, of course. I spent probably thousands of hours working on in the beginning. I spent all of my time trying to foster a new vibe in veganism. I was having events here in my home, making logos and designing t-shirts and having t-shirts printed up and shipping them out myself and really trying to get something happening.
You believed in your baby. You believed in.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was at that point I saw it as my baby, even though it was originally Mark's idea.
It's funny, you know why? Because I remember when I first got into activism, all I did was just go to protests, and I stayed in the street, As a new activist, like most, I had blinders, and I only saw what I wanted to see or what I knew. So to me, the only form of activism was street activism, because that's what I was doing. I remember getting into arguments, if you will, online with yourself and Mark.
Yeah.
One time, Mark put up a post about how he feels great because the weather's so nice and his vegan t-shirt is getting so many conversations started from people on the street. Then he said that's a great form of activism. And then I replied by saying, that's not activism. And, so then we started going back and forth, me, you, and Mark. And I just want to apologize because I was wrong. I now know that every single form of activism is necessary. Mark, wherever you are, if you're watching this, I apologize to you, sir, also for doubting your activism. I am sorry. I want to ask you something. You have a very unique style of activism because you do a lot of stuff on social media. It's not just about putting up a post here and there. I've always seen that you have turned it into a form of an art. what would you call your form of activism?
That's a good question. I started to think of it that way as well. You know, I've been a creative my entire life, right? So I was a musician when I was a kid, and then went into fashion and all different kinds of smaller iterations of things. So creator is what I use and is commonly used, you know, in the Patreon world, which I have a Patreon account for people to support everything from my music to this type of activism, which I think, has an artistic bent to it. I think that that's one way that I can use my mind to be more than just my voice and my body in a street, you know, and affect more that way and encourage other people to find their voice or expand their voice or learn a better piece of messaging or find a new technique that is more engaging or whatever the circumstances. And I do really enjoy the artistic aspect of it, even if I'm not great at all of it.
How did you ever come up with the concept for Animals First on the Second?
Animals First on the Second is based on the original Fast Against Slaughter, which was started by Alex Hershaft. Alex Hershaft is the founder of Farm Animal Rights Movement. For decades, he did a Fast Against Slaughter on his World Day for Farmed Animals. It was one of the first really impactful, specifically internally for me, impactful forms of activism I did. I found it really emotional and really powerful in deepening my connection to animals and my purpose as an advocate. And so I did it for the first couple of years I was vegan, and then it really died out. There was like 1 year there was almost nobody doing it, and then the next year I didn't hear one word about it. I went to the site, I saw they hadn't really updated any of the material at all, like their one page that was dedicated to this on the farm site. And so I contacted their executive marketing director, who I know, Eric, and asked him, what's going on with this? You guys are not moving forward with this anymore. And he said, yeah, Alex thinks it's welfareist. And he's still going to do it personally, but he doesn't want it to be one of our initiatives. You know, he thinks that we don't want to promote just feeding animals on the way to killing them, you know? So anyway, I was like, great, as long as you guys are not going to move forward with the Fast Against Slaughter thing and all of that, I'm going to harness that and add some additional aspects to it, some new tools, the mark, the reasoning, the way we do it, and that it's monthly, and turn it into, hopefully, a more functional form of advocacy.
And it's on the second for a very specific reason, right?
Right, it's on the second because the original World Day for Farmed Animals is October 2nd. And so the next month on the 2nd, I was on November 2nd was the first one, and just hundreds of people did it.
Wow. For those of you that don't know, Animals First on the Second is a fast that takes place monthly. On the 2nd of every month, you fast for 24 hours and you mark an X on your hand. Does it have to be exclusively on your hand?
No, it can be anywhere. Most people do it on their hand, an X with a circle around it, which represents an empty plate with cross utensils on it.
You have about anywhere between 5,000 to 7,000 followers for Animals First on the Second. Is that?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's really hard to tell. A lot of people are on different social media platforms and not just on Facebook. The Facebook group gets crazy active. I guess there's 5,000 or 6,000 people in the group and a couple of thousand people on the page and 1,000 or 2 on Instagram.
Do you ever wake up and look at the numbers and the success of Animals First on the Second and feel vindicated, if you will, since you left V.O.N.Y?
Nah. I'm inspired by everybody's participation, and it makes me happy that I'm able to use what I love to do to positively affect the world, but I don't really sit back and revel in anything. I mean, I'm trying to get more people. I want to see tens of thousands of people. I want this to be like Ash Wednesday on every 2nd instead of a mark here.
For vegans all over the world.
And not even just vegans. I mean, at this point now, we also have a check mark that non-vegans can wear, and they'll be mentored by a vegan for the day to live vegan. None of this meatless Mondays, none of this, I'm going to learn how to follow a plant-based diet. You're going to learn all of the ways for the day that we impact animals negatively throughout the time. So they wear a check mark. Like I said, like it's Ash Wednesday, Sunday, and you just know that that person is putting animals first on the day, whatever that means to them in their journey.
It's a great movement, and may we see it grow, man. May we see it grow. You know,
so.
It's a good thing. So music, Izzy's got a song coming out soon. It's an anthem. I've heard it.
Excuse, the ARA anthem. I think it's gonna be a banger that everybody can really get with. Any ARA knows this. No excuse for animal abuse. You know, I mean, everybody knows that. I think everybody's gonna get a kick out of it.
How did you fall in love with hip-hop? What was your first experience with hip-hop?
My first experience with hip-hop, so I grew up in Jackson, New Jersey, which is like the dirty Jersey, white, trashy, all-white neighborhood. You know, it's scary to be a Jew in an all-white neighborhood growing up in this, like, open KKK chapter in the town that I grew up in, you know what I mean? And then I moved to New Brunswick, to Franklin Township, right by New Brunswick. And I was a musician already. When I moved to New Brunswick, I mean, it was like right away, I met a dude who we would sit in his garage with a little radio and listen to WBLS and 98.7 KISS, and listen to Master Mix and Rap Attack and all of this. And even one dude had belt drive turntables, the worst kind of that you had to hold on to the record to be able to scratch it. The thing kept going, it would ruin the bottom of the record. And we would sit there and with a mic and to a tape deck. That was the beginning of it. I found it comfortable and exciting.
Your activism did not start with the fight for animal rights, did it?
No. So I was involved in social justice activism of various sorts throughout the years, but my first structured big activism was with a group from Sierra Leone called Freetown Africano Cultural Theater, FACT. And FACT was run by Charlie Hafner, and Charlie Hafner's a legend in Sierra Leone and in the movement to educate people about slavery and the human rights abuses that happened. And Freetown, that town, is legendary for being about that. A lot of freed slaves or liberated slaves returns to there. And so we did theatrical presentations followed by Q&As. You know, Charlie wrote the original Amistad script, the script for the original Amistad story.
What do you think can be done to bridge the gap between social justice and veganism?
Intersectionality becomes intertwined with, you know, that veganism is a social, speciesism and veganism. It is part of social justice. A lot of people may not see it that way, but it is somehow intertwined whether you like it or not. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people who have read intersectional theory and tried to apply it to this. And it's usually fairly flawed and somewhat perverted, you know, in the way that they apply it. But I think that very soon we'll start to blur the lines between non-human animals and human animals and figure out that all of this oppression is linked.
What are your favorite things about the current state of the AR movement, in New York City specifically?
I mean, I think that my favorite form of activism is always vegan education. And when there's a thrust towards Anonymous for the Voiceless that's so strong right now, that makes me happy. I think that that's a great form of vegan education. So I think my favorite thing right now is things like AFOTS and AV, where people are having a logical, rational approach to having one-on-one conversations and connecting with people rather than screaming at them. Mind you, screaming at people works sometimes too. Sometimes you gotta protest.
Right.
But
like we said before, all forms.
Yeah. But I'm super excited about a good balance between protest, disruption, vegan education, that there's different avenues for everybody. As the vegan population grows, which is exciting, we're seeing different types of activism and different types of activists.
What is your least favorite thing about the AR scene in New York City?
I don't know. I guess the default cliche-ish answer is, you know, the infighting, the contentious attitude between groups, and, you know, and that's true. That's true. But what is the impetus for? What's the basis for that? And a lot of that is ego, and a lot of that is people stepping in and deciding they're going to regulate, take control of something that they don't really know shit about. They're going to come in and they're going to be the boss and orchestrate a whole bunch of shit. Meanwhile, there's people who've been doing it on the ground for years, looking at them like, who are you? What skills are you bringing to this that we don't already have? You want to come and work with us, that's great, but everybody's got to step up and take control. I got to start my own thing, and I got to, you know, I say that like I don't start my own thing, so it's a little hypocritical. But when I start my own thing, there wasn't anything like it before. Right. Or in the case of Farm, they told me they didn't plan to really move forward with it. If you're doing something functional with anything, I'm not offended, but if somebody tried to step into my role and be like, I've never done this before, but I'm so smart, and there's a lot of people trying to take credit for stuff that they didn't really do. trampling on the good work of people who've been on the ground doing it or in the scene doing it for years and years. And a lot of people who don't have the requisite experience and skills trying to play like Mac Daddy, trying to play like they everything. But it's not necessary either. Why? What credit? Why are you trying to take credit for what? Nobody needs credit for nothing. We need to work together properly, and the leader will shine on their own. It'll happen on its own because that person will show leadership skills.
Right, naturally. I agree. Impossible versus beyond.
Impossible. I mean, I think mostly because the Beyond Burger you can buy in the stores, and every time I have the Impossible Burger, it feels like a special occasion type shit.
What is your favorite vegan restaurant?
Modern Love. He so does it. Modern Love is killer. That's where you take people if you want to make sure that they're going to have something scrumptious, whether vegan or not.
What is your least favorite restaurant?
Oh my God, man. You're going to get me in trouble. You know, it's not exactly my favorite. There was others that I would call out first. Luckily, most of them is closed.
The views and expressions of Izzy are not those of ARA Radio.
Oh, shit.
But we gotta respect his opinion, you know, and we gotta respect how he feels. Tell everybody where they can reach you if they're looking to get in on Animals First on the Second or get some good recipes on the Veganist Guide and stuff like that.
So my email related to Animals First on the Second, or any of those things is izzy@veganaf.org. You can find me online at the Veganist Guide, veganist.guide on Facebook or Instagram. If you're looking for anything health or wellness related, my training method, which is multimodal personal training, nutrition coaching, and wellness stuff. So you can find that too if you want to get in shape and get strong.
Any last words you'd like to say to all the people in New York City?
Yeah, stop being a pain in the ass all the time and attacking vegans for no reason and making up stuff to cause it. No, I'm sorry. I love y'all. Let's grow veganism to so many millions that it's not even a thing anymore. What if vegan soon wasn't even a word? Everybody was just kind of really like that.
All right, man. Well, thank you, brother. It was a pleasure. And keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see you out there, man.
Thanks, man.
You got it. Peace, y'all. Yeah, man. Hope you guys like that. Interesting, right? It was informative. I want to touch up on a little something here. I want to jump into this Jill Carnegie thing, right? A few years ago, I made a shirt. I made a shirt for Kaporos. The shirt had the Hebrew writing in the front, Ta'aba L'Chaim, and it had the chicken in the back. I noticed that one day the shirt was for sale. I saw it on my timeline on Facebook. She took my shirt and sold that shit. And I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck is this? Where's the respect? If anybody was going to do that, I'm sure that you would first approach the person that created the shirt and be like, yo, listen, I got an idea. Let's do this. And the money can go to the cause, to the movement. It could go to the Chickens Against Kaporos campaign. You know what I'm saying? And of course I would have said yes. So when I saw it on Facebook, I was a little blown away, but at the same time, I didn't care because, you know what I'm saying? I try not to hold on to material shit. And I remember one day we were somewhere and I said, oh, hey, Jill, can I talk to you for a minute? Because I wanted to see what was going on. I wanted to feel the vibe and understand why she was coming at me like that. And you know what she said to me? She goes, I don't have time right now. I'm leaving. I was like, oh, all right. It is what it is. And 15 minutes later, I see her little redheaded ass still walking around the bar. So now you telling me fuck you to my face. There was another night that we were at Vegan Drinks and Anita Cranch, I hope I'm saying it right, the creator of the Save Movement, was in New York. And she just so happened to be staying at Jill's apartment. So we were at the bar and Anita was sitting there. By the way, Anita was not drinking. I just want to clear that up. I think she had a cranberry juice or something, or a seltzer or something. She wasn't drinking. And Anita made a comment about the shirts. She was like, oh, I really like the shirts, the Kaporo shirts. And then somebody that was sitting next to Anita goes, oh, Philly made those shirts. And then Anita goes, really? He made them? I didn't know that. And I'm thinking Ain't this a bitch? You are staying in the apartment of the person that started selling the shirts online, but yet that person didn't have the dignity to tell you, I made the shirts. And I thought that shit was bullshit. After doing this interview, I have learned a couple things. You walked into a meeting where the Voters for Animal Rights organizers were getting ready to get a check. At that meeting, you walked in crying. So what happens? The check ended up going to you, and they never gave the money to V.O.N.Y. You kind of fucked them over with that tear shit. And not only that, but right before you got that check, you were crying poverty. You were crying about your rent, that you were gonna get evicted. And then the day after you got your check, nobody ever heard a peep about your money troubles. So my question to you is, did you pay your rent with that money? It didn't occur to me, but I remember one time after the horse carriage demo, we went to eat. And I remember you picked up the tab. I remember you paid. And I thought you was just doing the right thing, you know what I'm saying? I took you to Paulie G's, I paid. And so I thought you was just returning the favor. But then I realized that you paid with the money you were given. Is that what we do as activists? We take money that is given to us as a grant or a donation, and we use it to pay for dinner. We use it to pay our rent. Is that what we really do? You also ask for money to fight for Caporos. Plus you get paid from the Save movement, which, by the way, what are you doing with the Save movement? Is that what you're here for, to ask people for money everywhere you go? So I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Like I said, keep tuning in the next couple of months to see what Animal Radio Active is going to bring all of you. I promise you, like I said, it won't disappoint. So stay tuned, and thank you all. And I'm out of here. Peace. Before I sign out, I just want to say two things. Number one, after I taped and spoke about how Jill is all about her money, and by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if she asked the woman Tamara that was on New York 1, talking about how the slaughterhouse that was on her block was smelling. I wouldn't be surprised if Jill asked her for money. Tamara, if she asked you for money, Tamara, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, I'm pretty sure it was Tamara. If she asked you for money, I just want you to know that she's dead wrong, and Jill, you should be ashamed of yourself for asking everybody for money. But anyway, after I taped, it just so happens that the beneficiary for the upcoming vegan drinks just happens to be Jill's new group. And it's a group that just came out a month ago. I think it's called like Slaughter Free, something like that, or Slaughter Free City, or Slaughter Free NYC, or something like that. But peep how shit is. The group just came out about a month ago, brand new group. And all of a sudden, a month later, less than a month later, they're the ones that are gonna be benefiting from vegan drinks. However, Brooklyn Queens Animal Safe, for the past 2 years, and right up until this last summer, they reached out to Vegan Drinks asking can they be one of the beneficiaries for vegan drinks. And Matt Marshall, you know what he says? He says, yo, yeah, no problem. However, the list is long and they're so booked that they'll get back to BQAS in a few months or later on, or maybe next year. But yeah, Jill gets to do it in less than a month. So what's up with this? Is there favoritism going on your behalf, Matt? You're helping Jill make more money? Is vegan drinks real, or are they just here to help specific people? Man, this is what keeps the community divided. Certain people only help certain people get ahead, and that's not right, especially when BQAS does so much and is involved with the community. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing, Matt Marshall? And Jill, are you really on social media asking people to help you pay for a plane ticket to Australia? Come on, girl. We all know that the only reason you go in there is so that you could take a picture with a koala or a kangaroo or some shit. If you can't afford to go to Australia, then don't go. And what are you really even going for? There's nothing you going there to do except for a publicity stunt. So you could be like, hey, look what I did. The same way you've done with a lot of things in this community. That's the only reason you're going there. To everybody in the community, beware these opportunists. You know what I'm saying? This community needs leaders, not money-hungry opportunists. Second thing I wanted to tell you all, since my last episode, I recorded a music video. It's called So Vegan. Check it out. I'm about to play it for y'all right now. If you want to see it again, just go to YouTube. The link for it will be in this episode's description. So hope y'all are good, and I'm out of here. Until next time.
It's that vegan shit right here, baby. I'm so Queens with it, I'm so vegan with it. Check me out. I'm so vegan. I don't even count sheep when I'm sleeping. I'm so vegan. I don't kill, I feed 2 birds with 1 scone, peep it. Yo, I'm so vegan. I come in restaurants and yell at meat eaters while they eating. Yo, I'm so vegan. I put stickers on fur coats every winter season. Yeah, I'm so vegan. I will never bite the Impossible Burger. That shit is cheating. They test on rats, you see, and what might be good for you ain't good with me. Why? Cause I'm vegan. I like to steal chickens out of live markets on some sneak shit. Animal liberation is a habit. At home I got 6 black cats and a white rabbit. Don't wear leather, ain't no feathers in my jacket. I see you kick a dog, your head I just might crack it. Treat your face like a fucking hockey puck and slap it. Or maybe I'm an addict, addicted to static. I never call another living being skin fabric. Yo, I'm so vegan. I will never tongue kiss a chick that eats flesh and secretions. But if she's vegan, I'm filleting like I'm praying on my knees every weekend. I'm from New York, my jungle is made of semen. This the only jungle where the gorillas ain't vegan. Banana clips, these gorillas will leave you leaking. I've been living like this for a while. If it ain't vegan, I throw that shit on the floor, YDB style. Yeah, I know that shit is kinda wild, so make sure my shit is vegan every time that I beast out. Yo, I'm so vegan. I traded in my peace sign for a V sign. Peace out. But before I go, I just thought I'd let all y'all know I'm so vegan. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? The world is changing. Get with it, you know what I'm saying? Or we ain't gonna have a world to enjoy.